Hey, everybody, Tanner Larsson here, and welcome back to the Optimized Ecommerce Podcast. Super excited to be here this week with you guys. And we've always got cool guests, we've always got cool topics, but this one's going to be a little bit different. All right. So I'm joined by Brad Owens, another one of the BGS team who you guys have heard before on previous podcasts. And Brad has been with us for a long time. He actually started out as a customer, then joined the BGS team. Now he's one of the coaches in our e-commerce business blueprint program. He also is a revenue optimization expert and works on our amplified stores. So he's got a kind of a wide range, and he gets to work with a lot of stores at all different levels within the BGS framework. So he's got some pretty good insight, but he's also a business owner himself. He's run a retail store. He's had his own e-com stores. He's done subscription services. Like, he's got a really well-rounded background. And so Brad wanted to bring a topic on today that I think is really exciting to talk about, because it's not something that you hear very much. It's not super tactical, but it's very, very important. And it's something that I feel is lacking in most businesses. And it's actually something that we're really working on addressing in the Build, Grow, Scale scope of business as well, and how we talk to our customers and everything like that. And that topic is basically being for your customers rather than just for yourself, but also knowing what you're for, so you know how to best communicate and best present yourself and everything with your customers. And Brad actually brought a book to our team, and that's where that started. I'll let him talk about that a little bit, but that's how we're going to get into it. So it's all about how to be for your customers and knowing what you're for. All right. Sounds weird, but we're going to get into it. I promise you will enjoy this episode. You will get a lot out of it. It will give you a lot of thinking moments about how you can, jump it into your business and really make a difference, because this can transform your business regardless of all the other tactical stuff that you do. All right. So Brad, thank you for being here, and thank you for bringing this topic up, because it's a good one.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here.
So why don't we kind of start with the beginnings of this, and just take it away with that. What is being for your customer all about? What's the book? How did it come to be? And kind of let's just start the process.
Yeah, sure. So back in November, I was in Vegas for a personal development workshop, and I went to a Barnes & Noble, and, I live in Atlanta, so I was out in Vegas, go to Barnes & Noble. I'm in the business and kind of self-help section. And I look and I see a book that's facing out towards me. So instead of the spine facing me, it was the cover facing out towards me. And it was called Know What You're For, but it's by Jeff Henderson. And I was like, no way, because Jeff Henderson is a pastor at my church here in Atlanta. And I thought, that can't be the same guy, but maybe it is, because I knew he was an executive with Chick-fil-A and the Atlanta Braves. And he's also listed as one of the top motivational speakers by Forbes. A few years ago, they had him in a top 12 list or something like that. So I was like, well, maybe it is. Flipped it over. It's totally Jeff that I know. So had to get the book, read it. It was amazing. And I could really see how it could connect with e-commerce, because in general, it's about any kind of business and even your life. So it could be for a retail store or e-commerce, or it could be a nonprofit. But I really could see how this could really fit in with your e-commerce business, and you can really laser focus on your customer instead of being so self-centered.
And, it kind of ties in with some of the stuff we were talking about, you and I, yesterday when we were on our call with the other guys, about speaking to the customer where they're at and what they are dealing with, and what they, versus where you're at or where you want them to be. Right. And, one of the things that we talked about, guys, is when it comes to marketing to your customer or to your target audience, most of us tend to just talk about how awesome the product is and then pitch them the product, or we say, hey, this product solves X problem, and then immediately go into how great our product is, how great we are, how we can help you, and why you should buy our stuff. And that process is not customer-centric. It's not being for your customer. And that's why only a small percentage of people are really ready to take that next leap. Now, we're going to get into this a lot more, and Brad's a perfect guy to talk about this, but to set the stage for that, If you think about the 100% of your target audience out there that are out of that, only about 30% of the people are really willing or ready to buy on that first, hey, look how awesome our product is, contact. All right. Some of that 30% will actually do it. Not all of them, but by and large, there's only about 30% that'll be ready. But there's 70% of your customers that if you just spoke to them the right way and made them actually realize that you do care and that you understand them and that you're for them, well, now you're going to tap into the much larger market of customers that, maybe after multiple points of contact, eventually come around to your brand because they actually see you as caring for them, as, hey, this person gets me, this company gets me, I want to support them, and that kind of a framework. Whereas everybody else, including yourself right now, you're all competing for that same 30% because you're only shouting from the rooftops how great your product is, or here's my sale, or anything like that. It doesn't actually focus on the customer. So, Brad, why don't we talk a little bit about what it means to actually be for your customer?
Right. It's really what it boils down to is just not being all about yourself. So it's like if you're in a conversation with somebody and they're only talking about themselves, like me, and it's real self-centered. That's usually not a very good experience, Whereas if you're engaged with conversation with somebody and they're asking you questions and they're really empathizing with you, and it seems like they really care about you, again, that's a better experience. So it's kind of the same thing with e-commerce. eBay is worse. If you go on an eBay page and you look in the description, and there's probably maybe like a few sentences about the product, but then it goes maybe a whole page length with the terms and conditions.
Yeah.
About like their return policies and how you have to pay shipping or no returns allowed. Same thing on your website. If your return policy, if it's all just like so long, it's all company centered and not customer centered. If it's about you can only return with 30 days, has to be unopened, you pay shipping, we're going to charge you a $20 restocking fee. All that is like a big turnoff to the customer. You need to make it for your customer. It's just going to be a better experience. Just think about the experience.
And a lot of that stuff can still be said. Like, we're not saying you have to change your return policy, but change the language, change the way it's presented, change the way, like, make it about the customer. Like, hey, we want to make sure that, if someone, if we get a return that, that we can be re-given or resold to another customer. So we've got to make sure that it's, it's unopened, or, tagged still on it, or clean, or whatever the criteria is. But you shift the language, is like, this is for your betterment. Like, so, because every company resells products that have been returned. We want to make sure that we only resell the, stuff that's brand new.
Right. And it's all about becoming fans of your customers too, instead of,
yeah, why don't you
like,
talk
really
about
trying
that
for your customer to become fans of you. You become fans of your customer. So if you're on Instagram, you need to be following the people that follow you. You need to, when you see someone post, you need to like start engaging. If customers comment on your Facebook post, you need to reply and just you don't leave all these comments just like not respond to them. You need to be engaging with your customers. Become their fans, and they'll become fans of you.
Yeah. And it's also just like communicating to them where they're at, and versus just the normal marketing speak. Like, one of the examples that Brad and I and Jeremy and a bunch of other guys were talking about yesterday was, and this is not e-com specific, but all of you guys have purchased e-com courses or info training courses or business courses, so you can relate. But you've got you're the struggling business owner who's looking at this stuff, and they're watching this ad, and they're listening to this thing about this guy, and he's got his Ferraris and his Lamborghinis, and he's talking about how, I don't know which car I'm going to drive today. And, it's all thanks to Amazon or thanks to eBay or whatever it is. And they're talking like that, which gets attention. But the person is thinking, I can't even comprehend what you mean by choosing what car I'm supposed to drive today, because I'm just trying to put gas in my one car and take care of my family and put food on the table. Like, they're in a completely different place. And the person is speaking, thinking that's going to attract the customer, when in reality, it's kind of repelling, and, or making the customer feel that even though that guy could help me, they don't think they can because they think, oh man, that guy's too far ahead or too whatever to be able to communicate with me, right?
Yeah, they can't relate to that.
Correct. And if you're speaking to, go ahead, Brad.
I was going to say, and you want to be able to relate to your customers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And where they're at, what their problems are, what not. And the thing is like a lot of the time you may have been your customer because you're in a market or an e-com niche that you started because you were passionate about that. Like you're a mountain biker and now you have a mountain biking store. But once you become a vendor and a seller in a market, your perception, your thought process, everything changes. You're really no longer your target audience. You're not really as in tune with them as you once were. So you can't really take what you need to go to the customer and figure out where they're at, what means, what's important to them. What do they care about? What are they thinking about? What are their problems? What are their pain points? And, show them that it's, again, what your communication is about them.
Right.
And show that, and that's how you build that fan, right?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they don't care about you, really. They don't care about your company. They don't really care about your product. They care about how it's going to help them. Like, how can your product help them? How can it solve their problems?
Mm-hmm. And they really don't think you care about them either, right? I mean,
yeah,
you're selling a product and you're doing interruption marketing, right? So you're interrupting their day. You're getting them on a scroll or interrupting them on a Google ad or Google video or something like that. So it's not like they were out looking for you. You're just jumping in their face. And so you got to put some effort into like, hey, I know I just interrupted your day, but XYZ, to make them feel that you actually care and not feel like you care, but actually show that you care. Otherwise they're like, hey, they don't care about us. They're just trying to make a quick buck. And that's exactly. Obviously not the feeling you want when you want to build a long-term brand. If you just want to do a hit it and quit it offer that you're going to try to scale, that's a trending product or whatever. Yeah, of course you don't have to do this. Obviously it would work better if you did. But the problem is those like hit it and quit it offers don't really make you that much money. They don't last. And that's not going to put food on the table long-term.
Right. Because when that's over, you have to go to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. And start all over.
So it's a lot of work. You just keep cycling through it. Whereas you don't have to do that if you build like a long-term brand. And this is all about building your brand.
So what about when you, with that framework and building the long-term, like for your customers, how does that impact like your LTV?
Oh, it's huge because when they become fans, they're going to, not only are they going to be repeat buyers, but they're going to tell other people. And so, especially with the cost of advertising increasing, especially with like we see it right now on Facebook, the cost skyrocketing. So free traffic is great. When you get the word of mouth going on, that's gold.
Yeah, they basically become evangelists of your product and are willing to talk about it because of the experience they have with you as a brand and the connection that they feel. Product becomes secondary. Yeah,
exactly. Yep. And that's really what I did, even with my retail store. Back in 2010, I opened a shop inside the Mall of Georgia, and it was a cross between a Hot Topic, a record store, and a comic book store. And it's a full-on comic book store. And everyone said I was going to fail, especially on the comic end, because there's an established store that had two locations, one within a mile of me, the other in the neighboring city that had been around for 20 years. But I knew that owner was very kind of standoffish. He could come across as rude and arrogant. And I knew that I had an opening there, just being focused on the customer. And one thing that I demanded of myself, because I'm really bad with it, but I made a point for myself and my employees to remember names. Because in that business, it's all about LTV. You have repeat customers. You have people coming in every week to get their comic books. And, the competitor would never remember names. I'd been a customer of them for like years, coming in every week, spending about $50 a week in comics, and he never remembered my name, which was crazy.
Which doesn't make you feel very good, right?
That doesn't make you feel good at all. Yeah. And it's like, how can you not remember my name? Even my friend was the same way. And he's like kind of a local celebrity a little bit. He was a host with a local radio station, one of the top Atlanta stations, a DJ. I couldn't remember his name. And so I made it a point And that's really what happened is we had people that drive past his store to come to my store because we offered that extra level of connection and almost like family,
Yep.
like a tribe. We had our own tribe.
Mhm. And if you think about it, guys, who doesn't want to be remembered or who doesn't want to be made to feel special, right? Like if you think about yourself in your life, like when the place you go to the most, like you go to the same Starbucks every day and, you know, the barista knows your name because you're in there all the time. You feel a little bit more special, right?
Right.
And you go to a restaurant and the server knows your name because you frequent there a lot. Or like me, there's a engine shop that I go to work on our cars all the time. I don't go there very frequently, but when I walk in there, they're like, "Oh, hey, Tanner." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am, I feel good." And then they usually try to remember some little tidbit about me or whatever. And you know, it's good. But and that's just one little thing that you can transfer over into your brand. But Brad, let's get a little bit more tactical with people. So
Right.
What are some questions that they can ask to like dig deeper into this and knowing what they're for as the customer for themselves so they can be what they're for the customer as well?
Yep. Okay. I've got 3 questions that I like to ask.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is your why, and I actually did a video on our YouTube channel about a month ago about really asking your why. And your why is your purpose. Like, why are you even doing ecom to begin with? You know, what's your purpose? Are you doing it just as a side hustle? Or are you doing it to save money for a vacation? Are you doing it to pay off your debt? Are you doing it to spend more time with the family? Are you doing it for a purpose like donating to homeless veterans or planting a tree for every product sold? So once you know your why, that's your purpose. And that's something that you incorporate into your UVP, your unique value proposition, which we've done a lot of content about UVPs. But that is the heart and soul of your business. That's your backbone, is really your purpose and your why. So once you know that and you get clarity on that, then you want to know like what do you want to be known for? Okay, what's going to set you apart from your competitors? Again, that's all about your UVP. What do you want to be known for? And you can look at other stores, even in retail or restaurants. Do you want to be known as being like a Burger King, or do you want to be known for being a Chick-fil-A? Because they have 2 vastly different customer experiences when you walk in.
Very true.
And then the third question is, after you know what you want to be known for, what are you known for? And that's where you can ask like on your Facebook page, you can do surveys, like surveys on your thank you page, or an email survey, like a post-purchase survey. Find out what you want to be known for, what are you known for, and then bridge the gap between the two.
Gotcha. So that takes you into figuring out like where you're at. And then how do we take that to the customer? What do we need to know about, what do we need to do about the customer to become for the customer once we have that information?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Cool. So what are some stores, like some examples that you can share that will actually kind of bring this to light for people? They can go, "Oh, I get it. I see what they're doing."
Yep. Okay. The first one is one that probably everyone would say, because he wrote another amazing book about this. Very, very similar. It's Zappos with Tony Hsieh, Delivering Happiness. It's really kind of the same thing. And of course, Zappos is all about the customer experience. And that's how he was different. I mean, he sold shoes initially. I think that they were just a shoe store.
Just a shoe. Yeah.
Yep. But they had the no risk returns and things like that. And they were just 100% customer-centric. And they really grew, I think, mostly over like word of mouth. The same thing now is happening with Stitch Fix. Stitch Fix is a huge company. They're $1 billion company. They're I think they're the biggest subscription business right now, or subscription model, like mystery box
they're
business.
A clothing subscription business, guys. If you're not familiar with Stitch Fix, and they do all different categories. It used to be just women, but now it's expanded, and they've got maternity. They've got different things. It's a pretty cool model. Obviously, takes a lot of capital to produce, but yeah, definitely talk about that one because they're doing some cool stuff.
Yeah, a lot of capital. But what they do is they're your personal, what do you call it? Like a stylist.
Stylist, yeah.
Yeah. They're your personal shopper. And you basically do a quiz. You tell them like what your interests are, like what you like to wear, your body dimensions, things like that, kind of your style. And they're like your personal stylist. And once a month, they send you a box of clothing, like an outfit. And it could be like pants or shirt. It could be shoes. It could be a purse. You kind of list kind of what you're interested in. They send it to you blind. And everyone that I know that does it loves it. And they say that these are things that I would not buy for myself at the store, but I love. And I would
they
never
also
think
do
about
it that
for
you
myself.
can, if you don't want it, you just send it, you keep what you want out of the box, right?
Yeah, exactly. You only keep what you want, and you only pay for what you want, and they send you a prepaid mailer to return everything else. And
Yeah.
everything about it is just totally for the customer. It's a great experience. I haven't heard one bad thing.
Yeah. And if you think about subscription boxes, guys, like otherwise they send you like there's another one called Watch Gang out there where you basically select your styles of watches that you like. And every month they send you a watch, but you get what you get, right? You can make some selections about like the style. I like leather or synthetic straps, or I like metal bands, or I like analog or digital and stuff like that. And they try to do that for you, but you like, what if you get a watch that you don't like? You paid for it that month. You're stuck with it. There's no, swap it out or whatever. They do have like a thing where you can swap with other members, but it doesn't make it easy for you. Whereas Stitch Fix, like, it's like, hey, here's the box of stuff. We know you're probably not going to love everything. So why don't you just pick and choose what you want, and we'll send the rest back. I know my wife loved that. She used the maternity Stitch Fix when she was pregnant. I guess we were pregnant. I didn't technically get pregnant, but I was joining her in the pregnancy. But she loved it. She'd get stuff all the time, maternity clothes that she wouldn't have ever bought, but she'd go, oh, this is great, but I don't like that, or that's and send it back. And sometimes we sent everything back, and sometimes we sent nothing back, but it was a great experience. And it was, when you do send it back, they're not hassling you. If the tag got ripped off or whatever, they don't really freak out on you. Like they tell you how it needs to be returned, but they're taking care of you.
Yeah. And what they do is they eliminate all the risk, or as much risk as they can, to the customer. They eliminate it. And that's huge, especially with like mystery, like subscription boxes. That is huge. But even without that, I mean, if you can eliminate as much risk as you can, you're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Because buying online for a lot of people is risky, especially with so many scammers out there.
Totally. And that's a great point, Brad. Like if you think about, guys, the online space right now, as we're recording this, we're technically, I guess, going into another round of big COVID scare and everything like that, which the original one pushed people online, right? Because they couldn't go to stores. Pre-COVID, it was only about 10 to 12% of the population shopped online. Currently, they're saying that it's somewhere around the 30 to 35%, and they're predicting that to jump again in the near future. So a good 60+% of your audience that's shopping now online are not savvy, comfortable internet shoppers. They're somewhat new to it. It's not their natural mode of shopping. So they've got a lot of those like inhibitions and things that are holding them back, or scaring them or whatever. And it's your job to overcome that. And that's a lot of what we talk about with revenue optimization, is streamlining that buyer's journey, making it easy for them. But that's only one step of the process. Brad is talking about taking the streamlining and then to a whole nother level with actually showing that you care and becoming a customer-centric company that just, like, when someone sees it, they're just like, oh my gosh, these guys are for me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. That's just really increasing the trust factor. And that's something as a revenue optimization expert, we see a lot, are things that can hurt trust. You want to have as much trust as you can. And again, a lot of that is just being for your customer, not always just being about you, but being for them. And that could be having a lot of user-generated content, having a lot of reviews and testimonials. And that's really huge. Even if you have reviews, it's really important if you're your own brand to have additional trust factors, because right out of the gate, they may not even trust your reviews. Mm-hmm. So user generated content, testimonials, like user videos, just things like that. It's like really important.
Demonstrations, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
another
really
point of
important
that, go ahead, Brad.
I was going to say, it's just really important for establishing that trust.
I was going to say another simple example of that, guys, is in the clothing or apparel space. You know, especially with women, like you have girls showing off their like selling leggings, and they're not showing them off, but they're modeling the leggings on the product page. And the girls are looking at that and they see user generated content and they see the reviews, but they're looking at the model and they're like, okay, leggings are weird. You know, do they run small? Do they run large? Do they, how do they run? And then something as simple as adding the model detail. Hey, the model is 5'4", bust is this, waist is this, hips are this. And they're like, oh, okay. So she's an inch taller than I am, and she's wearing a small. That's one simple way of just sharing information that is valuable to the customer. And most stores don't do it. They don't take that extra step, but that's caring enough about your customer to say, hey, when I shop, I always wonder, I wonder, is that person the same size as me? Or are they bigger than me? Or what size are they wearing? Because she looks like she's the same size as me, right? And so there's lots of little things you can do. We're not talking about necessarily like a complete remake of your brand. It's just looking at areas where are we focused on ourselves versus focused on the customer, and what can we do to shift that focus to make it more customer centric, more for the customer and not about us.
Right. And another thing too is responding to negative feedback or negative reviews. A lot of people just delete or hide them. Mm-hmm. Which is not good, because that's a trust factor if you only see like 5-star reviews, because you're going to have people that are going to, for whatever reason, will leave a bad review. Mm-hmm. But when you get them, you need to leave them and you need to respond to them. Yeah. And again, you need to respond to them in an empathetic way where you're resolving a situation.
Yeah. And not just to help that one customer, you're also, that's future content that your new customers, prospective customers are going to see. Think about when you go to Amazon, right? You sort and you read the bad reviews first, right? To see if when you read the bad review, can I live with what they say bad about the product? Like, is that a deal breaker for me? And then I also want to see hey, does the customer respond, or does the company respond, and how do they handle it? Because people know things are going to happen. They know you're not perfect. They're not expecting you to be perfect. They just want to know that you're going to take care of them if something happens.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can always respond with sarcasm.
100%.
Sorry.
Yeah, that would probably be my default response, but probably not the best way to handle it. No. That's why I'm not allowed to do customer service for us, because I would completely destroy that. And that's another area of your business that needs to be very customer focused. There's a lot of customers. We've all dealt with customer support where we just feel like we don't matter, or that it's never going to get resolved, or that they don't care at all. It's very corporate and just impersonal. And that's not what you want. You want your customer service to be just 100%. How do I help you? How do I make you feel better? How do I take care of this?
Right.
And, that's where you also need to probably build in some leeway. And if you're going to be for the customer, there's going to be extenuating circumstances where maybe your return policy is 30 days, but it's day 33, whatever. Right. So, and if you think about it, everybody wants to be the exception. Nobody doesn't feel special when they are made the exception. So if you are able to do that for people and like say, you know what, yeah, we're not supposed to do that. But we'll take care of you this time. No worries. We'll make an exception. And they're like, right. Oh, thank goodness. Thank you so much. And then they want to go back and buy from you again because you just gave them a great experience.
Yeah, exactly. If you go over and beyond and whatever.
Above and beyond.
You know what I'm trying to say. But if you do that, you're gonna. That's how you get raving fans. They're gonna come back and they'll also tell other people about their experience too. Now, so and if you have bad service, they're also going to tell people about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're probably more likely to talk crap than they are to talk good.
Right.
So, okay. Well, obviously we believe this. We've talked about it. People are understanding it. But how's this really going to help on the because obviously ultimately as a store owner, we want to make more money, we want to make more conversions. How is this going to help me?
Well, it's going to add the trust factor. Again, you're going to really improve your trust. The other thing is you're really speaking that once you're for your customer and hopefully who your avatar is, you're really speaking to your avatar. You're speaking in their language And that's going to help out. You're going to increase your lifetime value for your customer. But the main thing is this can really be where you laser focus on your UVP. Like we talk about your main image banner when they land on your page, and they need to instantly know what your site's about and who you are and why they should care, what makes you different from everyone else. This is where you can really nail down your UVP.
Absolutely. And a UVP that's not there's a lot of UVPs out there that are company focused. You need UVPs that are customer focused, because it's not about you, even though, you may have like in-house designs or whatever. That doesn't speak to the customer, but how can you take that same UVP and make it customer focused, right? If you have, like a simple one it's not personal, but it works, would be hassle-free returns, right? That's something that people are like, oh, cool. Or, and like people say USA owned, operated, or something like that. That's a company UVP, and that still can be a good one to leverage. But again, if that's your only UVP, you're not speaking to the customer. The only thing you're doing is getting people who want to buy America first, which is fine, but you're not speaking to the UVP that speaks to them.
Right.
We also use UVPs on the product page underneath the add to cart button. And sometimes those are product specific, but they need to be product specific in a way that they actually speak to the person. So like if you're selling baby products, okay, a UVP that's very powerful to mothers and families is knowing that the product is BPA free, right? So BPA free, it is a value to the customer, safe for your baby, right? But it's other things like and dishwasher safe, that's important too. But that's not a person. You're trying to, what does the person care about? But if you're just saying something like ships from the USA, that's kind of important. But if you're using that in replacement of something more powerful to the customer, it's not going to help you.
Right, exactly. And it's all about solving problems, solving your customer's problems.
Yeah.
And that's really the key.
So let's we've already kind of covered all the stuff that I wanted to really dig into on that as an overview. But guys, I want to talk a little bit more about the book for a second. We don't get anything for pitching this or saying this. It just happened to be a really good book that we all like and like to recommend those to you. So what's the book called again?
Okay, it's called Know What You're For, A Growth Strategy for Work, An Even Better Strategy for Life. And it's by Jeff Henderson.
So Know What You're For.
It's a little book,
by
if
Jeff
you can
Henderson.
see it.
Yep, we can see it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great book, easy read. It looks thick, but it's not. I mean, it is thick, but it's a fast read. It's not something you're going to spend a lot of time on. And he gives really good examples in there, and it's really just an engaging read. And like Brad said, he had a lot of ahas. I did as well. But let's just wrap up with, why don't you talk a little bit more about kind of what you dug out of the book, like a couple of the highlights of it that you loved.
Yeah, I mean, the highlights are really asking those questions. I kind of added the why and the purpose, but asking, what do you want to be known for, and what are you known for? Because a lot of times you may not know what your perception is out in the marketplace until you ask.
We're known for this, but then you ask your customers and it's a completely different story. Completely
different, right? And so that's where you need to adjust. Another thing is just really engaging with your customers, and just he made a point that if you know about customers' birthdays, things like that, you need to wish them happy birthday on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. I mean, I see so many pages where you have these posts with all these comments, and it's rare for the brand to actually be responding to these comments unless it's like a problem or something like that. But you need to engage because at the end of the day, people buy from people that they like. They like to buy from people that they like.
And people, they got to know you care first, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's actually a good point. And it's a little side note, guys. So in our Ecom Insider program, where we have all of our store owners that are basically follow what we show them on how to grow their stores, and it's a really cool community, and we talk a lot. And we were all on a call, and Devin, one of our members, he's been on the podcast, he's one of our 7- and 8-figure award winners, and they are in the jewelry space, but he was talking about how one of the things that separates him from his competitors and stuff as he sees is that they go in and they respond to every comment on every Facebook ad. So not only does that help them in Facebook's eyes by being more engaged and stuff like that, but basically all those comments serve as like UGC, user generated content. So when people see the ad and they're scrolling through it, it's almost like a mini sales page or a mini lander before they even get there. And it's just showing that, man, this company's responsive. They're answering questions, they're giving advice, they're doing all this stuff in the comments. Now, think about it. Chances are you don't engage with the comments on your Facebook ads. And that's just one thing, or all the comments on your Instagram posts or things like that. But that's one thing that they do. And they're a very successful 8-figure brand because of it. And none of his competitors do it. And that's another reason why they're successful. And it's a perfect example, I should say, of being customer-centric, being for your customer versus just being that company we're just running ads. We don't have time to do that. Just buy our product and then we'll help you.
Yeah. Or even following people back. Mm-hmm. I mean, so many brands do not do that. And that is so simple. It's just a click. Just follow them back. And that person will like that. They'll be like, oh, cool. They're following me.
Yep.
That makes an impression. They'll remember that.
They might check it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's super easy. And, a lot of companies are like, oh, I can't follow people. I can only follow brands, or I can't follow it. Like, no, it has nothing to do with that. Why not follow your best customers and all your customers and just everybody who interacts? Because that's just one more little bit of reach you're getting. But like, let's say you're a fan of, I don't know, Contigo, the drink company that makes these mugs. And all of a sudden you're doing something and then you get a notification that Contigo followed you. Oh, that's cool. Like, you feel good about it, right? And then top of mind, refreshed it. Now we're just a little bit more in tune with tiny bit deeper of a relationship, right? And that's all it takes. It doesn't take a ton of stuff. It's just little things that make yourself more attractive and demonstrating that you care to the customer.
Yeah, exactly. Not rocket science.
No, not at all. So definitely get the book, Know What You're For, Jeff Henderson. Great little book. Again, we're not affiliates for, we don't get anything for saying that, but it's definitely worth a read. And then don't just read it though, read it with the intention of going, okay, where are we falling short of this in our company? Because right now in today's advertising environment and e-com, you got to do more than what you did before. So every little edge that you can get into your business is going to help you be able to liquidate that more expensive traffic, be able to get your company profitable and keep it profitable while things are changing. Okay. So super, super important topic. I know it may not be as sexy as some of like even the last time Brad and I talked on here, he was sharing all kinds of cool strategies and tactical stuff. It's not all about that. That's just one thing. And this is an overarching piece that can add a very, very powerful layer of success and just awareness to your business. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, Brad, this was great. Appreciate it. Guys, what I need you to do right now is go to buildgrowscale.com/podcast. You can get the show notes. If you are on an audio like Stitcher or iTunes or whatever, click the subscribe button there. And if you're over on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe and like button over on YouTube and the notification button so you actually get notified. Now, this is a video podcast as well as an audio. So sometimes we're sharing screens or whatever like that. So if you prefer video podcast, you can watch it over there. If you need links, again, buildgrowscale.com/podcast. And there's also the show notes there so you can get the summaries and all that kind of stuff. And again, if you do love it, leave us a review, let us know, give us ideas for topics or anything that you'd like us to talk about more on the show, because this show is for you. And with that, Brad, thank you so much for joining us. And guys, we will see you in the next episode.